Good morning, YouTube. It is 10 a.m. in the great state of Texas, and today we're doing a throwback video from 5 years ago. So in a couple of weeks, I will have been on YouTube for nearly 6 years. So I thought it would be fun to go back and watch a video and kind of critique myself of how far I've come as far as woodworking. This is me mixing up some epoxy, and yes, that is a pot of pine sticks that I'm going to pour epoxy over. And this is something you use for cooking, and I completely ruined this pot. FYI, a little bit of foreshadowing there. And you can watch me watch the epoxy kind of make these little shims actually float a little bit. As the epoxy sets in there a little bit, the shims are gonna like start floating, because I don't know what I'm doing, because I just got into woodworking at this time and I thought I knew what I was doing, but I clearly didn't. And this was even before I had a pressure pot. But you live, you learn, and I thought at the time this was one of the best things I had ever made. The great thing about going back and watching a lot of the videos that I've had is that, you know, I didn't have a lot of views on those particular projects. And, you know, even now I still don't get a ton of views, but this was at the time one of the best things I had ever made, and I was so proud of this. And just looking at it now, I still consider this one of the best things I ever made, but it's just amazing to go back and watch and see how far you've come. But you can see here I'm using the flat scraper to kind of make a tenon. This is before I was making mortises and flipping things. I'm actually not using the faceplate at this time, and I'm thinking this is going pretty good. You can see me over here on the grinding wheel, just kind of freehanding sharpening stuff. But at the time, this was for real one of the best things I had ever made. You can see my lathe here. It's not bolted down. That was a huge mistake. This is before I kind of knew anything. This was actually in my old house as well, in my garage, just making a mess, getting all these shavings all over my wife's car. But this is, looking back on it, mostly a project where I use epoxy, but it's also just mostly pine board. You saw earlier in the video, the pine little shims were just kind of floating in the pot there a little bit, and I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm thinking this is a pretty good wood blank. But in retrospect, this is just mostly wood. There's a little bit of epoxy there, obviously, but this is just mostly wood. And I'm using the roughing gouge here, just trying to make everything nice and even and make it into a nice little bowl shape. And it's going pretty good. There's not a lot of wobble on the actual lathe itself. It's not moving. Maybe freehanding my tools was probably not, when I'm freehanding, just sharpening everything, that's obviously not a good thing. I'm actually using the first chisel set that I ever bought in this video. And here I am. This is probably the most interesting part of this. So here I am, with a bowl gouge, trying to gouge everything, and now you can start to see the movement on the lathe itself. You can see that it's moving. This is not smart. I'm not getting a lot of good shavings off because I'm going against the grain. So when I set up those shims in that pot and everything's set up, obviously I'm going against the grain as far as bowl gouging. So here I am just having a lot of difficulty, and me not knowing why everything's not turning out the way that I want to, obviously. So here I am, just keep going back and forth, going, why is this not working like it needs to? And it's me with my inexperience, not understanding that, hey, I'm, trying to gouge against the grain, and that's why I'm having a lot of issues on top of just bad technique in general. But I stick with it because I'm young and naive and 5 years younger and thinking, I don't know what I'm, I can do this. But obviously here, not going as smooth as I wanted to. But eventually I get the kind of hang of it. And I think this took a couple of hours, because something that should have taken maybe 40 minutes to do, due to the lack of experience, obviously took a lot longer. And my cinematography in the video actually is a lot better. This video was actually like over 8 minutes when I went back and downloaded it, and that was mostly because I did a lot of bad cuts. The filming was off. Not that my technique is any better, but you guys are actually watching the shorter version of this. But eventually we gouged down, and the bowl starts to come to life here a little bit, and that's pretty interesting as well. So this is still one of the better projects that I ever made, but looking back at it 6 years later, I think I've definitely come a long way. Like I said, December 2nd, I will have been on YouTube for over 6 years, and it's pretty interesting to see how far we've come. So here I am just doing, I'm not sure what grit of sandpaper this is, but I think it's like probably 80 grit, and here I am just, shaving everything down. Not shaving everything down, but getting everything just nice and sanded, and then throw some wood wax on it, and everything will be done. But man, we've come a long way, or at least I've come a long way. And this is what it looks like when I made it eventually, and then just putting that wood wax on there. I still consider this one of the best things that I ever made, but it looks really cool. I was really happy how this project turned out. And again, this is before I knew what a pressure pot was, or how important that was, or the different types of tools to make, but still considered one of the better things that I've ever made. So just a throwback video. We won't be doing this every week, but I thought this would be cool since my YouTube birthday is coming up. But here's younger me trying to explain to everybody what I made and what it looked like. So hope you guys liked it. Hope you got something out of it. A little bit shorter video, a little bit different video. But go back and watch my old videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.